7 days in the locked room. Anna, 28, with unruly brown hair and stubborn green eyes, drove a rural road under night rain. Between bursts of static, the radio mentioned another disappearance at the old abandoned mansion. She laughed to herself. To her, it was only an urban legend, and a perfect chance to prove the stories false and win 100,000 reais. A horror content creator, she had taken a viral dare. Spend 7 days locked in a room inside the so-called mansion of the forgotten. The house rose in decay, its towers twisted, windows broken. Inside, she climbed the spiral stair, crossed the corridor, and found at the end a heavy wooden door with an antique lock. The room held only what was necessary: a sagging bed, a table, a chair, a barred window, a cramped bathroom. On the table, water and canned food for a week, and a note: "Close the door. It will lock automatically. Survive 7 days. Good luck." She drew a breath, pushed the door, and heard the click of the mechanism. Locked. The first shiver didn't come from the cold. Day 1. She woke on the floor, unsure how long she had slept. Pale light filtered through the bars. She tried the handle. No give. She knocked, called out, stopped. Exploring, she found a dusty journal under the bed, its yellowed pages filled with a shaky hand. Day 1. I arrived thinking it was a joke. The door locked. I heard laughter outside, but no one came. The pages that followed were blank. The day dragged by with the floorboards groan and the floral wallpaper peeling at her touch. Night thickened the silence until it felt like a weight on her chest. A soft scratch at the door sent her heart racing. She pressed an ear to the wood, heard nothing, tried to smile at herself. Later, already in bed, vague steps traveled the corridor, and then a whisper that froze her. "Anna." Another followed. "Stay." She killed the light and hid beneath the blanket. Sleep came in tatters, pierced by dreams of walls closing in and voices that knew her name. Day 2. The shadows under her eyes were heavy. The journal now showed new lines she swore weren't there. Day 2, the shadows dance on the walls. They have eyes. None of it was hers. The handwriting was unknown. A dark patch seemed to congeal in the corner and dissolve when she blinked. The heat turned feverish, the air damp with mold. Scraping the wallpaper, she uncovered claw marks raked into the plaster, as if someone had tried to dig a way out. Night. The bulb faltered. Stretched shadows slid along the room, and for a heartbeat formed the silhouette of a hand. The whispering grew, threaded with low laughter and the same invitation. "Join us!" She covered her ears, but the voices felt as if they rose from inside her skull. Day 3. The voices spoke of sins, not just hers but everyone's, yet they pressed on hers. They named an old lie, a professional betrayal, and then shoved the blade into the softest place, the accident. A flash of memory. She at the wheel, alcohol in her blood, a light, the impact, the flight. No one saw, she had told herself. Then, the voices insisted on the irreparable. There was a child in the other car. She tried to shatter the window with the chair. The glass cracked, the bars held. A cut opened on her finger, blood slicked her palm, and the smear on the floor seemed to arrange itself into words. Guilt brought you. In the bathroom's fogged mirror, her face returned distorted, a monstrous pull at the corners of her mouth. Near dusk, a cold touch slid along her calf in the dark. No one was there, but the skin bore a mark. Day 4. The touches came back, insistent. Thin fingers testing the limits of her body. First a chill at the nape, then a yank on her hair, then nails compressing her arm. The room itself seemed to rot. Damp walls, the metallic scent of iron and something spoiled, a red thread seeping from a crack. When she tried to hide beneath, the bed, Something slithered in with her, breathing low. New welts striped her skin by dawn, as if she had wrestled invisible hands through the night. The voices rotated their accusations. Thief, liar, murderer, until in a moment of exhaustion she whispered a plea for forgiveness into the emptiness. Day 5, the visions took on flesh. Twisted faces, hollow eyes, stitched mouths. A thin man, in an old lab coat, a bisturi between his fingers, presented himself without ceremony, Dr. Elias Crow. He spoke of cures and treatments, and at his word the room warped, the floor tilted, doors sprouted, and vanished like a rabid maze. The house's skin hung like torn fabric, and the child from the accident appeared among the shadows, weeping a thick, impossible cry. The smells multiplied. Sulphur, burned meat, and hunger turned to delirium. She chewed at air as if it were bread. When she tried to fight, breaking whatever she could, she found that nothing here obeyed her hands. Day 6 truth didn't knock. It kicked through. Memories surged whole. This mansion wasn't strange to her. Years ago, in a storm of fear and rage, she had hurt someone here, a man who threatened her, a meeting that should never have happened. The body had been hidden. Afterward, her mind sealed the memory and built exits. Perhaps that was why the ad had seemed irresistible. Perhaps there had never been an ad at all. The voices insisted, "Remember." And she did. She saw herself before a mirror that shattered into shards, each reflecting a different version of her, guilty, arrogant, terrified, indifferent. She wondered if she had been one of Dr. Crow's patients in another life, if the house trapped culpable souls awaiting a reckoning. Bleeding but upright, she accepted half the sentence, "I did it, I did." Day 7, weakness grew almost sweet. There was a calm at the lip of fainting. The whispers, the touches, the visions returned all. At once, a rising tide. The door creaked. For an instant it seemed open. She gathered what strength remained and ran. Yet the room drew her back, as if the walls had rooted themselves inside her. The final understanding arrived without spectacle. She had died on the first day. Perhaps at the click of the lock. Perhaps during that first collapse on the floor, perhaps she had been carrying death on her shoulders since the accident she'd denied for years. The week was merely the time guilt needed to say her name in every voice possible. The house kept her, as it keeps them all. 7 days repeating endlessly, a promise of escape that, when it creaks, is only another way to remind her to stay. And she stayed, because now she knew why she had come, because sometimes the punishment is simply to recognize, and to recognize is to begin to burn.